Hey guys, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Let's jump right into it. Today we are going to be talking about the MS906 Pro top 10 questions of the week. So this is just a compilation of frequently asked questions that I get that I'm sharing with you guys so you guys can make an educated decision. If you're new to the channel, my name is Curtis Harden. I'm an independent Autel Diagnostic Consultant. If you'd like to purchase your tool, go to auteltech.co.za and book the diagnostic tool consultation. Now, question number one, seeking guidance on choosing an Autel tool. Question is, can I consult you about which tool to buy for my private use? There's a large range of tools and it's confusing for me. And I also want to know if your services are just geared to professionals or individual users like myself. All right, so I know you guys don't believe it, but I used to start off selling a lot of these MS906 products, and as I've grown, I kind of attracted more people who purchase the higher end tools. But don't get me wrong, like I'll represent you. In fact, this is the problems that you're gonna have without someone like myself. So the research phase, the pain point is you're gonna be overwhelmed by generic information, conflicting reviews. Like you're gonna see some people that are gonna be like, oh, it does this, or I love it, or I hate it, and it's gonna be difficult to determine which tool is right for you because there's just way too many part numbers. The other pain point is the purchasing phase. So where to buy the tool, concerns about pricing, warranties, authenticity, and then support after you buy the tool. And then lastly, the post-purchase phase, setting up challenges, getting everything registered, understanding functionality, resolving software glitches, access to OEM information. Most guys who work from home, they're using Google, okay? And then limited support from online retailers, okay? So what I did was, like, I've documented all these pain points and I made a solution with my services. So if anything, someone who works from home, they're going to benefit from having access to a consultant like myself. Okay. Question number two, can the MS906 Pro handle ISM module programming and drive authorization for a Mercedes S550? So this client, what he did was he has like a salvage yard of Mercedes, and I gave him the idea to start virginizing them and selling them. Now, when he sold this one, this ISM he virginized, the mechanic called him, and he wanted, I guess the car wasn't, the mechanic didn't know how to configure the ISM module. So they wanted to know what needs to be done, okay? So let me give you the strategy, okay? So with the IM608, all right, you're going to do this. You're going to connect to the ISM, read the data, okay, and then you're going to save it. Then we're going to erase it, okay? And then we're going to, make sure everything is not personalized or active. Then we're going to, save it. And then the bottom half is what he needs to do, the mechanic who got the ISM. He needs to personalization and activation on vehicle, all right? And then he needs to do the teach in of selection range sensor, okay? Where it's like a special function that you'll do these manual procedures, and then you'll be able to have that ISM module configured, okay? So top half, you need a different tool. Bottom half, you can do with the MS906, okay? Question number three, what are the main differences between the Autel MS906 Pro and the MK906, okay? So the MK906 Pro looks identical to the MS906 Pro, but there are some differences which I'm going to explain. So first is the MK906, the sales channel. This is strictly online, okay? You won't find anybody locally selling this particular model. I think these are just online. So that means if you're a US client, your support is limited, or in general, okay, you won't be able to send your tool to Autel New York because they don't stock these. They don't import these, okay? And then another thing is if you work on Chryslers, you won't be able to register your tool to Auto Authority to bypass the Chrysler Security Gateway through the OBD. Okay. The only advantage of this one is I think some are not IP restricted. So if you go to different countries and stuff, you could possibly get a model that is not IP restricted. But if you're in the US, I always say it's better to get some support than nothing. Okay. The MS906 Pro, on the other hand, the sales channels on this one are both locally, all right, and online. Okay. Which means that you could, depending on if your seller is US based, you could get support from Autel New York. Okay. Now, what I will warn you guys, there are international versions of this. They look exactly the same, all right. However, they won't give you the Chrysler Security Gateway through the OBD. Okay. Yeah, it's an international tool, so it'll be like you just having an NK906. I don't know why they did that. Okay, as I said, Autel, they want to make sales, and that's just one way for them to do that. Okay. All right, next question. What are the different tools on the market that are equivalent to the Autel MS906 Pro? All right, so this is what I find, and this is in no particular order. I'm just letting you guys aware, so if you want to go down these rabbit holes, you're more than welcome to do it. Okay. So one is the Think Tool Pro. Okay. Then we have the X Tool D9. All right. And then we have your Launch. Okay. And then we got this one is, I think it's from Harbor Freight. All right, I think they have their own tool. It's called the Icon Professional T10. And then we have the Phoenix Elite by Topdon. All right. And then we have this one is by iCarsoft. Okay. Now this is what I'll tell you. I'm not biased on tools. Okay, like I'm very simple. I'm the type of guy, like if I go to a restaurant and I have something that I like, I stick with it. Okay, I don't like to try other stuff unless it's really compelling. Okay, or if it solves a particular problem. Now each of these companies, they do research. All right, they're researching. Okay, let's say Autel, they're good at this, but they're not addressing this. We're going to make a tool that does that. All right. So each tool is kind of geared to a specific clientele, and you just need to make sure that you kind of fit that avatar. And I tell everybody, Autel isn't for everybody. It's not for everybody. Okay. There's some people who do very well with it, or there's some people who don't like it. And look, all I care about is if your customer can get their car out your shop. All right, if you and half the time it's not even the tool that's the problem. It's the person behind it. Okay, you can give this tool to anybody, even cheaper tools, and if they have the right knowledge and stuff, they'll be resourceful with it. Okay, so it's a very competitive market, and I'm just letting you know what's out there. Okay. Next, how much does it cost to renew the MS906 Pro subscription? All right, so to give you a full overview, when you get your tool, typically they'll come with a 1 year or 2 year updates depending on if it's a local vendor or international vendor. Okay, and then you'll get updates and stuff. You have access to the Chrysler Security Gateway. You'll get Autel US's support, and yeah, that's what it comes with. All right, and then if you want to renew it, all right, it's about $500 US. You get newer vehicles. Any software glitches that were addressed before we fixed, you'll have access to the Chrysler Security Gateway, and you'll put your tool back under warranty, as well as, like, if I sell it to you, you'll continue having that one-on-one support with me as well. And then if you don't decide to renew it, okay, you can still utilize the tool, but certain online access you won't have. So like, obviously you won't get any updates. The Chrysler Security Gateway you won't be able to have access to, and yeah, and then yeah, obviously you won't be able to get your tool repaired if you have a hardware issue unless you purchase your update and then you can get it repaired. That doesn't apply to my clientele. I can get your tool repaired even after the warranty has ended if you don't have an update. Okay. Question number 7, Autel MS906 key coding. Does the Autel 906 Pro support key coding functions, and what type of vehicles can it perform key coding on? Alright, so if I was to give this a scale out of 1 to 5 in terms of overall key coverage, I would give it a 2.5 out of 5. Okay, what you're able to do, as long as you have the original like master key, you can add on keys quite easily. Okay, up to 2013. All right, for Asian and American vehicles. European vehicles, there's no key coding coverage for this. Okay, so if you want to program a key for a BMW, you're gonna get disappointed. It doesn't have it on there. Okay, and also it does not get like pin codes and stuff. Like for Chrysler, you're gonna need to get that from a third-party website, and then once you get that pin code, then you can gain access to any Chrysler key coding if it's asking for a pin. Okay, so just remember, Asian and American vehicles up to 2013, no European key coding. Okay, awesome. All right, question number 8, risk and limitations of buying a used MS906. Okay, so I had a gentleman, he made an inquiry. I think he was going to purchase one of these, and this is the older version. Okay, so I just want to make it aware to the public of what you're getting into. Okay, I almost tell people to approach this like how you're purchasing getting a replacement module for your car. I prefer to get the OEM, but if they're out of stock, if it's too high, then I'll look for other sources. Okay, but first is this particular model. It's an outdated model, and the risk that you're gonna have is if it does have a hardware issue, Autel might not have the hardware for it. Okay, because they're trying to phase these ones out. Okay, I don't know the date they're gonna plug it, but there have been tools and particular models that I've sold that came out around this time that they're not doing repairs on anymore because they don't have the parts. Okay, the other risk you're gonna have if it's a stolen tool. So what happens is a lot of guys, they'll steal it, put it online, try to make a quick buck, and the owner would put a notification to Autel and say that it's been stolen. So when they turn the unit on, it'll go online and you'll get a screen lock like that says contact Autel, your tool's locked. So you're only going to know that like afterwards. Okay, so that's also a risk. Next is hardware issues. So this is an older model, so your battery is probably not at its best state, and also the screen is these screens are problematic. Like there's spots on the screen where you'll touch, it won't respond, and it needs to go in for like a complete repair. Okay, so that's another issue. And then with that, the expired subscription, and software corruption. So sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I notice on the older tools, if you're out of a subscription, you don't know. Sometimes the person who owned it, maybe they deleted all the apps because the tablet was going slow, and then when you get it, there's nothing on it, or some apps are corrupted, so you have to buy another update and stuff. And then the other thing is you're not really sure if it's a US or international tool. All right, people not knowing, when they buy online, they don't know, they just buy. And then if you do have one of these issues and Autel says, hey, it's an international tool, we can't help you, then you know like your goal of trying to save money, it actually costed you more. Okay, so these are things to do it unless it's like a crackhead price. If it's a crackhead price, then I can understand, and it'd be worth taking all those risks. But other than that, I'll just get a new one. Okay. All right. Question number 9. Identifying whether a diagnostic tool is for an international or U.S. market. Okay, so this is difficult for the average consumer, just because, I mean, you guys spend most of your time, working on cars. All right. I mean, I can look and identify it, but I'll just give you some tips that you need to do to verify. So first is just to ask the supplier directly, and the way you ask them is, if I have a hardware problem, can I contact Autel New York and will they, sort it out? If they can't give you a straight answer, that's probably an international supplier. Okay. Next is the origin of the supplier. So some online platforms make it easier to see, like eBay, you can see, and if it's in a supplier that's like overseas, they're probably giving you an international tool. All right. If it's someone that's US based, they're probably giving you a US based tool. Now on Amazon, it's a little bit tricky because it's my next tip. Don't assume a name means it's a direct affiliation. So you know how my company is called Autel Consultancy? Well, there's other brands that use the Autel names, and people like sometimes when they call book a consultation with me for like a problem, and when I'm asking where'd you get your tool, they're like, oh, I got it from Autel. And I always tell people, Autel does not sell directly to the public. They sell it for people like myself, or they sell it to authorized dealers and they distribute it. Okay, so if you go online and it has Autel whatever, that's not Autel. They're just doing what I'm doing, using the name and using that to market it. Okay, so and when they do that, it's probably an international tool. All right, next is consider buy locally. If you want certainty, buy locally. You can walk in there. They don't buy stuff, out their region because they're IP locked. That or get it from a consultant like myself. There are times where international tools have a better advantage than a US tool, but that's how I would decipher if it's an international or US market tool. Okay. Question number 10. Why should I book a consultation with you if I already know what I want? Okay. So this happened to me recently. Somebody wanted a MS906, and he also wanted a J2534. And like, if you're watching this, I'm not picking on you. I get this like every single week, and I just want to explain why. So first is the expert confirmation. Okay. As much research that you do, you're by the amount of time you need to get my type of data is going to take you years. Okay, so there was a reason why I always assess people, is because most of the time when they come in the consultation, they come out with a completely different plan out of it. Okay. Next is I can maximize your investment. So like, I can actually teach you how to make money with it. If that's not like your goal, at least I can quickly advise you on what the tool can and can't do. So if you have to replace parts and stuff like that, you have a point of contact. And guys who work from home, that's something that's not even heard of. Okay. And then you will avoid costly mistakes. So as a consultant, like, I document problems and I solve them. Okay. So when you have this problem, or I can even tell you how to avoid such problems, that's going to help reduce your cost. All right. And in the consultation, you're just taking like, my 16 years of experience, and I'm going to boil it down into, 1 hour. Okay. That's valuable for some people. Okay. You don't have to go do what I did and find all this stuff, yourself. And then you get that long-term support. So, I tell people, the way the industry is right now, you guys are like serial numbers. Okay, literally, your serial numbers. No one knows your name. They don't know anything about you, and that's how you're treated. And what I tell people is, when you buy a tool, and let's say that company wants you to call Autel New York, Altel New York, they didn't, that person helping you, they didn't get any money out that deal. So they're not going to, go the extra effort to make sure that you're fine. You're going to be treated as just like a generic customer. Okay, and I'm just being real. Like, I'm not trying to knock anybody's down, like, their support, but like, they don't have any reason to go the above and beyond effort. Okay, and then also customized recommendations. So like, when I consult you, I look at your situation and I identify problems that you didn't think about. So with that, like, one guy I gave, he works on Fords. I gave him access to the Ford repair information. Another guy had Nissans. I gave him access to that, and that's something that you as a do-it-yourselfer, you're not going to be able to get. All right, so that's why I always book, and you'll never see me just tell you to buy somewhere, because if you're buying like a stage 1 tool, that's one thing, but when you're buying like stage 2 and stage 3, those are more like serious, and you got to be careful. Okay, so with that, first I just want to make like a guide. All right, if you're going to do this yourself, understand the difference between price and cost. Okay, a lot of people, when they're buying tools, they're buying on the lowest price, but they're not thinking about what costs are going to be ahead of them. All right, price is just half the thing. Cost is how much you're going to be paying for in the long haul. All right, you need to think about that. Next is recognize the limitation of online research. Okay, no matter how much videos you watch, you're not going to get the nitty-gritty details. Okay, it's impossible unless you actually own the tool and figure this stuff out yourself. Okay, and with that being said, be cautious of influencer promotions. Okay, so I understand, like, some people, they're trying to support their channel, which is fine, but be cautious if you get some influencers like every week it's like a new tool. That really, in my opinion, means that they don't have your best interest. And then when you purchase from their link, they're not going to help you. Okay, they're like, not all of them. That you just got to be careful around that. Okay, and then lastly, if the support is lacking before their purchase, don't expect it to be better later. So some people, they'll come to my website, and I'll tell them, like, look, if you don't want me to consult you, contact Autel, or contact your supplier. And then when they don't get a response, they complain on my channel, and I'm like, dude, I just told you this is going to happen. But think about that. If it's bad beforehand, it's not going to get better afterwards. Okay, so think about that. And then lastly, only book a consult if you're serious about achieving clarity, results, and accessing the right resources to help you get the most out of your tool. If you don't want to do that, then I'm not a good fit for you. Okay, all right, so with that, you guys, I hope you enjoyed. I'm a little bit under the weather. That's why I sound kind of weird, but I hope you enjoyed, and with that, I'll talk to you guys next week. Take care.